Is it true that Possession has been involved in some of the protests or not? Or that's bullshit?
No, 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 no. Where are you getting that from?
I think I know where he's
I
getting
saw
at,
it
I
on the
think he's getting
news.
confused. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
what you're seeing on the
Oh,
news is they're saying that Pezeshkian is getting involved in with pro-regime, rallies, and that there's
yes,
pro-regime rallies taking place, and that's propaganda. There's not, like,
Like the
actual
yeah.
regime
lefties.
rallies.
No, no, no. This is the Islamic revolution. In response to
Oh.
the current revolution, the Islamic Republic has set up some protests against the revolutions to bring up their people to show that we have support too.
Yeah, Al
Hmm.
Jazeera is, like, a huge, like, source of that propaganda. I think Democracy Now! Might also be showing that.
Good to
Oh my
know
god.
because like that's why I asked like in the super chat on YouTube. I'm like, oh, maybe like Armin knows, and now that I know, it's like shit. They're using like psychological like warfare at this
Always.
point.
I
Yeah, that
think
was the video that I
Iran is
showed you from Galibaf. They're trying to show the world like, no, we actually have support.
I feel like that
can
guy
I
is like a total liar. All he does
Yeah,
is
of
like,
course.
oh, we're with the people. Then he's like, no, fuck you guys, we're not with you. And then he's like, I'm backing my own people that supports the regime. That's what I feel.
Yeah, of course, of course.
can
Right?
I
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
one thing?
Uh,
I think,
Okay, short because there's a lot of people on the
short,
list, but yeah.
very
yeah,
short.
like a ton.
It's a sentence. I think Pezeshkian is battery operated, so it's not like completely matter.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next person.
Lindsay,
Lindsay.
Hi.
hello.
I first off wanted to say, Armin, to you and Gold, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Like a thank you for what you're doing. Like you're doing it so many hours a day. And I think that this work that you do is really, really important to keep people constantly engaged. So I think, you deserve a big thank you for this because it's not easy
Thank
work.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I have two things I wanted to ask you about. The first thing is, excuse my ignorance, what is sort of the religious makeup in Iran? Because I thought that it was mostly a Muslim country. And I'm just sort of wondering what that will look like, not as with rules and stuff, but what that kind of makeup is in Iran today. I assume not everybody's like the crazy regime, but how would that look like? What holidays would the whole country celebrate together?
Oh, that's a very good question. Okay, so we're minority Muslim. So a couple of years ago, we had a poll, and the poll suggested that we're 37% Muslim right now. But I think by now it must be much lower because that was a couple of years ago. I don't know
Because people
exactly.
left because they were upset with the regime or because they left the country?
I mean, the Islamic Republic made them hate Islam,
Of course.
right? Yeah. So yeah, but I think by now it must be much lower, and I think that the hatred for Islam is higher in Iran than any other country, And I think most of the holidays, I'm pretty sure we're gonna allow Muslims to have their personal holidays, but I think the mass majority of the focus of the country is going to be focused on Persian holidays, like Shab Yalda, like Nowruz, our ancient pre-Islamic holidays.
Is there a Christian population at all, like a Coptic in Iran? Or
There there is I can give you the percentages.
I'm just sort of wondering what kind of like multiculturalism is there, and like from the sense I get from like your amazing people is that you're accepting of everyone, like just don't force
Except
yourself.
Islamist and leftists in
That's
MK.
we'll say proselytizing to extreme.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I think okay. Hold on. Let me just give you the number. I think like a lot of people are intolerant of leftism now, even if you are not like they. We have had years of misery because of these people. Okay, so that's why I think we'll see. Okay, I mean I'm for free speech maximal. I'm a free speech maximalist, but I think like communism and Islam should not be allowed in our politics in the future. Like no, like they should be banned. So these are the percentages.
Everyone
Okay,
should celebrate Halloween.
they already do in Iran. They already do.
Perfect.
Okay, okay. So we have 32% Shia Muslim. Okay,
Uh-huh.
22% no religion at all, but
Okay.
do believe in God, but no religion. 9% self-identifying atheists. Among those nuns, some of them are atheists because they don't believe in God, but they don't believe in God, but they don't identify as atheists. 8% Zoroastrian, 7% spiritual, 6% agnostic, 5% Sunni Muslim, 3% Sufi, 3% identify as humanist. Christian is only 1.5%, but this is from 2020. So it might be higher by now. But I think the highest demographic, if you add the agnostics and the atheists and the nuns together, I think the largest group is going to be no religion.
Sounded like a nice, multicultural
Mix.
society. Okay,
Yeah.
so then my next question, or I wanted to point this out, is that a few people that I've spoken to today have told me that the protests are getting smaller and it's going to die out. Now, I've been watching you. I know it's not true, but this is what a few people here in Israel have said to me. So maybe you and your friends maybe want to get that message out a little bit more, that there's a lot of propaganda coming out, that they're getting smaller and that they're using the old footage, because people here in Israel are asking me about, are saying, no, it's getting smaller. So I don't know if that message is getting
That's why I've been contacting Channel 14 and Channel 12 to update them on the situation. There's a lot of confusion, and obviously people are trying to not be too hopeful because we are used to bad things happening, as you know.
Just that the news outlets is commenting on how many deaths there are any seconds. Every story is in the news here is about the deaths in the streets of Iran.
So I would just get that story out a little bit more, that they're putting out propaganda to make it look like it's smaller.
I'm working on it.
I don't know if we could say either way because there is complete shutdown over there, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard to come up with.
You showed, or maybe it was on Tusi. He showed, he made fun of it, of the old people protest, their pro-protest. It was all pensioners. And then they're putting out this video of all of these mass protests. And there he said it's from when Soleimani was killed, and you can tell because it's the summer. That's it.
Yep. That's it. By the way, Lindsay, I made you Lindsay, Bobak, Heidi. I made you guys all premium members so that you have access into all our future calls, right? So if people open their mic and speak, I'm going to switch them from standard members to premium members. If I missed anybody, let me know. But now in our future calls, if it's a premium call, you guys have access to it as well, right? Okay, so I hope you guys come back because we have every day we have discussions here. So great to have you guys here. Okay, Essie, who's next?
Lindsay, uncle.
Uncle. He's getting ready. Uncle? There we go.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we hear you.
Excellent. Okay. So I had a twofold question, and it pertains to the same thing as the Kurds. So there are some reports that it pertains to the Kurdish Freedom Party, and they had some clashes with the security forces of the Islamic Republic. Now, I'm not sure if those are actually pertaining to anything. It's been slanted in one way or the other that it's somewhat either a secessionist or it's anti-regime, or it's just incidentally self-defense that has been the PAK, if that makes more sense, like the Kurdish Freedom Party. Now, that by itself is a kind of unverified report that I find a bit difficult to take too seriously if it wasn't that there were quite a lot of reports. I mean, this is easily to find from the 12-day war, calls from the Kurdish movements to create Kurdistan. And this is where it matters because, Armin, you mentioned earlier, fine, they might be secessionists, but you have Kurdish Iranians and then you have Kurdish secessionists. They're going to control it. That's not going to be an issue. Fine. I get what you're saying. But I find it a little bit too hard. If I was in that position, it would be difficult for me to ignore when you have a unified call and they're utilizing the movements in Iran prior to this movement. Okay, it was during June last year. So when this is occurring right now, then I find it hard to see that precedence is not set And one reason, here I will be giving an honorary mention before I just yield my space here. On the flip side, these are Sunni Muslims that we can actually kind of cooperate with. In Norway, they had hosted on their own accord a Christmas concert, free of entrance, free of charge for anyone, on the 20th of December last year. They didn't have to do. Do you think that the secessionists in Iran, especially pertaining to the Kurds, are going to be utilizing because this is an opening. This are revolutionary changes, after all. Why would they not be exploiting it? Right? So how much of an effect do you think that is? And on the flip side, because if you're looking at from the perspective of a European, they might be Muslims, but they are also nationalists. We can work with these people. They are very different from.
Wait, with cessationists? You want to work with like Kurdish separatists?
No, not that I want to work with. It is the what do you think will be the
They're
effect?
not nationalists. They're anti-nationalists.
No, they're not. The Kurdish nationalists will be
No,
anti-Iranian
they're
nationalists.
not. They're not Kurdish nationalists because there's no Kurdish nation. They're anti-nationalists. They're
Right,
anti-nationalists.
but
They're
hardly any different.
delusional.
But hardly any different from those who seek to resurrect the jihadi caliphate. They want to have a nation that they have an idea
No,
of.
They want to no. They want to destroy other people's nations. You
The
only can make
Kurds,
a nation like Israel when you go somewhere where there's no nation.
but,
Okay,
but that's
you make a nation. If your nation requires the destructions of four nations, then you're not making a nation. You're destroying four nations.
It's like the Iraqi Kurds.
the Kurdish Kurds. They are a good contrast. Both are Sunni Muslims.
They're not.
Jihadis that are.
They're communist terrorists. This is the separatists. The Kurdish people that we celebrate, the proper nationalists. When you talk about Kurdish nationalists, we are talking about Iran, the Iranian nation. The vast majority of Iranian Kurds are nationalists. By nationalists, we mean that they're patriotic towards the country of Iran and they don't want to tear it apart.
Okay.
So I think it's an insult to the word nationalist to call cessationist nationalists when you want to
No,
destroy other
okay,
people's nation states.
fine, but that's a matter of advantage, though. But to be clear, because
No, it's not. It's reality. We have the nation state that as it exists, as it is right now. It exists.
fine,
There is
fine.
no
But
nation state.
if
There
we
is
get
no
from
Kurdish nation state.
but if we
Yeah.
move from the esoteric factor of it all, right? So Iran is this thing, right?
This is not like something small. This is
But
completely legal.
but
You
hold on.
cannot. You're violating. What they want to do is they want to violate other countries' border integrity, which is illegal. So this
But
is
the
not. This is
Kurds,
like a really serious thing.
right? And I wouldn't disagree with you necessarily, but if you consider that the Kurds are currently under attack in northern Syria by jihadis that are super nationalists, right? And they are occupiers.
Yeah, but that doesn't give them a right to come and destroy our country.
No, but that's beside the like. I'm not giving
That
any
is the
moral justification. But hold on, Marmin. It's not a matter of moral justification.
But make your main point because I don't know where we're going with this. Make your main.
Because it's an opening for those who have I understand what you're saying.
Tell me the point, like the
Sure,
main point that you're trying to make in one sentence.
Do you think that this upheaval that is occurring could be causing those who want Kurdistan to be a factor? Put it simply.
The small minorities in Iran who want to secede from Iran, yes, a lot of them will think that this is the chance and we will crush them. We will eradicate them. We will
So is Kurdistan a threat? Is Kurdistan a threat?
Kurdistan is a threat. Kurdistan is a threat to Iran and we will not tolerate it. And neither will Iranian Kurds.
So in regards to what the Jolani's forces are doing in Aleppo with the Kurds, would they be considered nonetheless an enemy?
Syria is not even a proper country. Like that's a Frankenstein monster. It's not a proper comparison to Iran.
But the Kurds are not an ally. Are the Kurds not an ally?
This is not the cessationists. Kurds are allies. Iranian Kurds are allies.
It's the same thing with Jordan too. Jordan's not a real nation.
Fine, I get
what do you mean?
they're not
Guys,
you have to,
hold on, Uncle. You have to be more careful with your words. Are Kurds an ally? Please don't mix all Kurds with the cessationists. Okay, of course Kurds are ally. There are our citizens. They're Iranians. Of course they're allies. Okay. We're not talking about Kurds. You're talking about Kurdish separatists. And no, Kurdish separatists are not allies. They are our enemy. They're as much of an enemy to us as the Islamic Republic.
And that's not something I'm disputing. But if you're talking about the Kurds in Aleppo, they are hardly related to the Kurds of Iran. So their sentiments, they cross borders, and that's a complication that is
We're not going to let
necessarily.
that. They could keep their fight wherever they are. If they want to fight Jolani in Syria, that's none of our business. If they want, if it wants to cross our border, then we're going to crush them.
But if you
Keep
had to
that garbage
choose,
in where you are.
would you be
We're going
supportive
to crush
or
them.
against?
No. We're going to be against them, obviously, because their commie terrorist ideology crossing our border. We're going to be against them.
So you would let Jelani destroy them? Like if you had a choice, the choice was Jelani or.
It's none of our business. That's serious business. We have a country to build. That's none of our business. We're going to see if we're going to be involved across our borders, we're probably going to see what Israel's position is, and yeah, we'll see. That's a topic for another day. What right now we're going to focus on rebuilding Iran.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
People
No, guys, let's keep the
keep
order. Let's make sure Asi don't make it difficult for Asi too much. Thank you, Asi.
Dajjal. Now it's Oscar. Let me go through the list real quick. It's Oscar, Van Hendrik, Arthur, Cat Lady, Joseph, Itai, Jan or Jan, and Dajjal.
Yeah, I just wanted to like report on the news. I don't know if you guys saw, but like maybe like an hour or 2 hours ago in Mississippi. There's actually kind of I wanted to also shout out Shauna because you're gonna know what I'm talking about. In Mississippi, there was an attack on a synagogue recently by a young man, and he claimed to be attacking the synagogue because he was attacking the synagogue of Satan. Now, this is kind of like goes to something that I've noticed increased lately, which is the increased worry within the US of the Christian nationalism or Christian hatred towards other minorities. And this attack in Mississippi, to me, is a clear example of trend that I fear increasing more because that quote of the synagogue of Satan actually comes from the apocalypse in the text, the Bible. So I was surprised a couple, like 2 hours ago, there was an attack at the synagogue in Mississippi. So I just kind of wanted to comment on that.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you for telling me. Like it's important for me to know this stuff. Van Hendricks. Van Hendrik.
All right. Yeah. So Armin, I wanted to go back to the points about Mohammed Reza Shah. So about the torture point on the live stream before, like I once asked you about the 1976 like Amnesty International report, and I'm going to send it in the chat also for people. Then we already concluded that they misrepresented the line about like psychological torture and mental torture, but that was only one of the claims.
Amnesty International is also, remember, that considers Israel to be apartheid and committing genocide.
But the thing is, then you need to show the actual evidence for why like specific claims are illegitimate, which was the thing I was going to go into right now. So the claim they make, like another argument they make in the document, is that they did not get to see the conditions of the prisons. They did get to speak to prisoners, and they did get stories of physical torture. And between the period of 1972 and 1976, they tried to gain access to trials, and they never got access to trials. So
they were not
was,
the only people investigating it. There were other people investigating it as well. The BBC was given access. Was given access. Yeah. So there were many other different groups that were given access. And here's the thing: even if you say like, oh, they didn't have access to this and this and this, the point is that there is no evidence for torture. There is no evidence for torture.
Yes, well, but the thing is, I just want to put like the evidence in order, right? So you're mentioning like the BBC documentary "Iran in Search of Democracy." So that's on the one side, and on the other side, we have an Amnesty International document
which provides no evidence for torture.
Yeah, but if you take a step back and you say, okay, on the one hand, we have like a film crew that went to a government and said, hey, we're going to film, and they saw nothing happening.
Amnesty International provides no evidence for torture. It just tells you that we were given access here and not there, but it provides no evidence for torture.
If I went to North Korea with a camera crew and we saw like footage of like, oh,
I'm not making a claim. They're making the claim. The burden of proof is on the shoulder of the claimant. there's a torture. If you make a claim that there's torture, you can't expect from me evidence for lack of torture. You have to provide evidence for torture because you made the claim. The
Yes,
burden of proof is on
yeah.
the person who claims it.
But then, so the stance is that we're agnostic on whether torture happened, rather leaning to
Well,
it didn't happen
yeah,
more
I
than
mean,
that it
well,
didn't happen.
agnostic assumes like an epsilon amount of possibility, not like 50-50, right?
Yeah,
When you make a
yeah.
claim and you cannot prove it, it's not 50-50, it's epsilon.
The thing is, I think if you would compare it to,
You
for instance,
understand what
North
I'm saying?
Korea,
What I'm saying? Like it's like if you know your father, right?
mhm,
And I say, and you think like this is not a man that will go around and commit mass murder, right? And like I come and claim that your father committed mass murder, and like Armin it hasn't. He doesn't. I'm like, well, I think he has. And you tell me like, give me evidence, and I don't give you evidence. Is it 50-50? Like based on what you know about your father, is the chances of him committing mass murder 50-50? Or like, okay, that's ridiculous.
the thing is, I get like you can't disprove a negative, right? So I fully understand it.
The man who forgives the person who tried to assassinate him, the man that allows people who constantly is fighting Savak to, we have evidence for this. We have evidence or records from him talking to Savak, trying to free prisoners because he thinks that they should be free. The man that gives 2 to 3 year prison sentences to people who committed acts of terror, right? The man that when that didn't want to kill Khomeini, so he just sent him to Iraq. And when Saddam called him and told him like, I can kill this man for you, he said, don't kill him. That's not right. And then when Khomeini was in Paris, he called the French people there and tried to make sure that he is in good condition. Right? He wanted to make sure Khomeini is in good condition. He wanted to make sure Khomeini was not killed by Saddam because he thought that's the right thing to do. Right? The man who we have on record that he decided not to rule over Iran because he didn't want to rule by shedding blood. Do you think that's a man that when you ask him about torture, he gets really aggressively, passionately speaks against it? If we have no evidence either way, do you think it's fair to accuse him of committing torture?
No,
It's fair to say that.
right, I agree with you. But then I guess the argument would be more that you look at the surrounding evidence of what kind of person it is.
If you accuse somebody of torture, you better have good evidence for it or fuck off, like the person who are making these claims. If such a person rebuilt Iran to the point where so many people have been left out of poverty and so many Iranians left better lives, and somebody that when he woke up in the morning, the first thing he would check was the weather because he wanted to make sure that that there like he wanted to rain because he was worried about the farmers. He every day he was checking, every morning he woke up he was checking if it's raining because he was worried about the farmer. So if such a man is accused of torture, you better have evidence for it.
Yes. So the one thing I do want to
Can I rebuttal him real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
sure.
Okay, so listen, one thing, psychological torture is something, as they say it and as they claim in this amnesty bullshit, is something that every country is doing till today. From the CIA to the Nepali special forces, everybody does that. That's one. So why are we sticking to a story which is 80 years old when people are doing it today? Everybody does that. That's one. The second thing is I don't get it. I mean, Amnesty International, do you know? I know Amnesty International because I used to stand on checkpoints, and they used to come with their little jeeps, lie, say that they're from the UN. We need to let them cross to do their job. So they used to taunt the soldiers. So a soldier would spit or do something to one of them, and then they would go and file a report. They would go and taunt 18-year-old soldiers who just got out of boot camp. So I'm asking you a fair question. Why do you think that they are more reliable than the Royal Shah? Why
So
is their word more heavier than the royal family?
well, I mean the royal family, at least if we're just talking like abstractly, like in theory, the royal family has more and the Shah has more of an incentive to lie about this than an
Oh
organization.
no, oh no, because if Amnesty International is not filing enough reports, what the hell do you need them? They are an expensive organization running around in new jeeps.
Well, okay, but see, the thing is, in arguments, we make appeals to institutions, and I think, right, making the claim that a institution which is generally seen as legitimate is illegitimate. That's right. I think a lot of politicians here, if they hear a claim by Amnesty International, then they're gonna believe it.
Well, they shouldn't.
They're
They
a bunch
shouldn't.
of
That's not a good
liars.
argument.
They're a bunch of liars, and if they don't produce reports, they don't have a right to exist as an organization. So your arguments falls here.
Yeah.
The Shah of
I'm with
Iran will remain the Shah of Iran. I mean, at least at least metaphorically, Amnesty will
But
not remain Amnesty.
yeah, but then the thing is, I think it comes down to the details about the report, right? Because we can say the same thing about China and the courts, and then the CCP can say like,
Yeah, but
no, see
how is
these
that
human rights
important?
organizations, they're incentivized to just make up
all
that
right.
we're committing crimes to the
Last point,
kurds.
because there are big. We have a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
list. And
Well, the
Arthur,
thing
your
is,
mic is open.
I just want to get like
Yeah, okay,
because
okay. Thank you.
Let him squeeze the last word, Arthur.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just one
So
second.
because I fully agree with with the broader point about the Shah in general. The thing is just if I just put the evidence, on one side we have a documentary, on the other side we have a generally seen as legitimate organization
Okay,
of human rights.
okay, no, Van. We already responded to
Yeah.
this. It's like you're not listening. It's not a legitimate organization. I don't care if other people see it as a legitimate organization. We know they lie, given that they consider Israel to be apartheid and doing genocide in Gaza. I don't care if other people don't agree with this. That's not a valid
But
argument. We
yeah,
know that
but
this
then
is a lying
but then if you want to
organization. So
so if you want to prove so if you want to prove to someone else that Amnesty
we don't,
International is
we
an
don't
illegitimate
have to
organization.
It's
prove
not
shit. If
legitimate.
somebody, we don't, if yeah, if we don't have to prove shit. If you make a claim that the Shah has committed torture, saying, well, Amnesty International has said it, so it's not an argument.
Well, but then they give the specific advice that they tried to research it and they weren't given access. While you said that the show was like everyone come here, have access, and your counter argument that there's one documentary, so you have one documentary versus an international organization.
No. My counter argument was much more than a documentary. And if all of the list of things I told you about
And on the
the fact
specific
that
claim of
Amnesty,
torture, on the
no,
broader
Van,
character, yes, but on the
Amnesty,
specific
go
claim of
look.
torture,
I will tell them that go read the Amnesty International report. They provide zero evidence for torture, and if you make a claim without evidence and you believe it, you could fuck off, and I have no more time for you. I would just, and if that doesn't convince them, I don't give a shit. They could fuck off.
Let's
I will
chill.
go to the
Let's
next
chill.
person.
Let's chill.
No, I'm
Let's
talking
go to
about
the
them.
next.
I'm not talking about Van. I'm talking about
Thank
them.
God.
Like,
Thank
why
God.
do I,
All right.
why do I have to keep wasting my time on trying to convince somebody that doesn't understand that if you make a claim, you actually have to provide evidence for it? I already made you premium. Okay.
Damn! Wow, I didn't even know. Well,
Arthur.
Okay, now was a silly discussion where, I mean, all the intelligence agencies have tortured people for, I don't know, for how many times. All the, yeah, the German, the CIA, they've all been torturing people because that's how they get information. Yeah, like, that's what intelligence agencies does. Yeah, the Savak back in the Shah time. But never mind, this is really silly. We have a lot on our plate. Yeah, like, I
Wait,
don't know.
the
There's,
Savak, the Savak wasn't torture. The Shah was fighting against the Savak
yeah,
torturers.
but
The Shah
even if
tried to.
they do,
Yeah.
what's
Well, I
necessary,
don't.
sometimes it's necessary.
All right. What's your next point?
I know you spoke about Qatar, and Qatar, I think they're not the main culprit, of course. It's the Islamic, but I don't know, because Al Jazeera is undermines the US all the time, and the US have the largest army base in Qatar. And I think this Tamim Al Thani, his name, the should be replaced also as soon as possible. And yeah, and what's happening now in Iran? It's really bad because we don't know nothing. The internet is off for more than 96 hours now.
But is there any? What's your main point? Like, let's focus on one point because we already know that the internet is out. But so, Arthur,
Okay. Did you hear Xi speech in the morning?
yes, in the middle of the.
If we have any candidates for the PM, we know something about what's going to happen after.
I don't understand the question. What is it? Make this the last question. Ask this question, and let's make this the last point. What's the question again?
If we know that either than the king or the crown prince, we have another like candidates for the ministries, for the, we know
Congress,
anything
ministries, prime
about
minister.
the day after. Yeah,
Asti, what's the question? I don't understand.
we got the king. Okay, who else do we have? Because
Yeah,
we
we
need Congress, we need
Okay,
prime minister, we need.
guys. This is not the right time to talk about that. We will have we will have elections we don't even have a constitution yet, so we have no idea. Okay, so let's just wait and see. We need to wait for a referendum to see if we're going to be a constitutional monarchy or a republic. Then we're going to write our constitution. Then we're going to have like a probably more year, like a couple of years of people forming parties and advertising their parties.
Where are you, cat
So
lady?
let me actually just quickly give you the order of how it's going to work. Okay. So, first, after the fall of the Islamic Republic, we're going to have a transition period. Okay. To get everything in order. So, that the main thing is not politics. The main thing is that people could buy bread, get water, go to the bank. Okay. Like everything is running. There's police, crime is being stopped. That's the first transition period. Then, once everything is stable, we're going to have a referendum. In the referendum, people are going to choose between a constitutional monarchy and a republic. Probably a constitutional monarchy is going to win. Once we decide which format of a government we're going to have, then we're going to have an election, not for the parliament, but for the council of founders. So people are going to elect the council of founders. Once they're elected, they're going to write the constitution. The constitution is going to be given to the people, and the people are going to referendum to see if they accept it or not. If yes, then we have a constitution. Once we have a constitution, then we're going to crown our king. Okay. And then we're going to have a crowning ceremony. Then we're going to get ready for elections for the parliament. So all of the, all of these years that we were going through these, parties should have been formed. People should have been politically advertising their parties, so that once we get to this point, when we have elections for parties, they already are known by the Iranian people. They were going to choose our parties, and obviously the party with the highest seats, the leader of the party with the highest seats, is going to be our prime minister. That's the process, and that probably is going to take multiple years. Right. Next.
Okay, Joseph Vecca. Joe, you here?
Joseph.
No. Okay, Michael.
Oh, Torafa. Michael. Michael, I see him here.
Yeah,
Michael?
I'm here. I'm here. Yeah. So my question is this, right? Out of all the ethnic groups within Iran, like for example, most of them haven't been rebellious, right?
Oh, yes. Wait, so from all the ethnicities in Iran,
Historically.
historically, have they been loyal
Yeah.
to Iran?
Yeah, like to the nation, like as a whole. Like what I mean is like separatism within Iran. Like no.
Historically, we have had issues with separatists, but now they're a small minority of Iranian people. But historically, we did have some issues.
With which ethnic groups though? Like I'm just curious.
I think in Iran, it has been mostly Turks, or well, like we call them Azeris instead. I think that I think it was used to be mostly Turks more than Kurds. So a lot of
About
people
Turkmen.
focus on. Not that I no. So I'm not. I might not
Mm-hmm.
be getting this completely right. Right. But
Mm-hmm.
today, most people focus on Kurdish separatists because of their activities in Turkey and Syria and Iraq.
Iraq.
But in
Mm-hmm.
Iran, if you want to talk about separatists, the Kurds are not that big of an issue. If you want to talk about separatists, the main activities will be in the Turkish area, right? Not in the Kurdish area. We have like among our Kurds, separatists I think is like less than 5%. But among our Turks, if I had to guess, it could get up to 20%. I think. I'm not sure if I had to guess. But it's still a minority, even if it's 20%.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, like, just out of curiosity, because I know, like you were born, like I assume you were born in Iran, right? And like you were born and raised there.
Yes.
And so, like, one more question. So, how did you leave Islam?
I left Islam when I was still in Iran.
Mhm.
And I left Islam after I became extremely Muslim,
Mhm.
and because I didn't want to go to hell. And okay, let me just go through it really quickly.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was really, really terrified about the concept of hell, and I didn't understand why more people didn't think about it daily. Because I thought
Mhm.
like we believe in a place that people are going to be tortured with fire for many, many years. And I don't know why more people weren't trying to avoid going there. I actually burned my hand here, still here, just to see how much it hurts to be burned. And then I imagined it all over my body for many, many years. And I couldn't understand why people around me all believed in hell and they weren't focused on avoiding going to hell. Like, if you believe in hell, then every second of your life should be focused on avoiding going there. In Islam, we were told in our school, if you die before age 9 as a girl or 15 as a boy, you go to heaven. Boys and girls before age 9 and boys before age 15 are sinless. They haven't sinned. And suicide is a sin in Islam. But I came up to the conclusion, well, because you can't sin before age 15, then if I commit suicide before age 15, the only place I could go is heaven. I basically put two and two together. So I jumped out
Did
of
you
the
ever tell your
window.
parents that or no?
Yeah, I mean, I was hospitalized for a whole year because of this. How could I not?
But
So I
did they
jumped
believe
out.
the same thing as you or no?
No. My parents were incredibly liberal. I
Moderate,
became
you know?
radical. Let me actually tell you how this process worked. I grew up in a very, very liberal family. My parents were not religious at all. I just became religious because everybody believed in hell. So I thought you have to be very religious to avoid going to hell. But before I hit age 15, I realized that the best way to avoid going to hell is to die before age 15, because every kid before age 15 is completely pure and sinless. So I thought that you have to be retarded to let yourself get older than 15 and start potentially opening the doors of hell to yourself. I'm like, why would anybody not just take the loophole in the system? I could just go directly to heaven if I just kill myself before age 15. So I jumped out the window and I broke both my legs and I broke my hand and I fractured a bone in my back and I almost paralyzed myself and I was hospitalized for a year and I missed a year of school. And then the only reason why I didn't try it again is because I saw how it affected my parents. It really depressed them. It was so I didn't want to do that again to them. So what I did instead is when I get to age 15, I became extremely religious. But I couldn't understand that my parents were going to go to hell because my parents did not pray, did not fast, did not go to the mass, they drink alcohol, they did all the things. And my mom and I loved them, and I couldn't understand why they're going to go to hell. So
Question, I know you're
eventually I
on a
came.
tight schedule.
Yeah. So
I'll let
the
you
more I
finish.
studied
Yeah.
it, the more I realized it's BS. So I just left Islam. Yeah, go on.
So one last question. Where did you get these ideas though? Like when you were like growing up? Like those extreme ideas.
These are not extreme ideas. They
Oh.
tell you that you're going to go to hell for sinning. That's part of
Also the system.
Islam. No,
Yeah.
this is this is nobody told me this. I came up with this conclusion. I put two premises together and I came up with a logical conclusion. They told us that before age 15, there is no sin. Your sin starts piling up after age 15 for boys. They told us suicide is a sin in Islam, but then I asked them, what if I do it before age 15? You can't sin before age 15. They're like, okay, then it's not a sin. Where do you go if you die before age 15? Do you go to heaven? Because you can't go to hell, so you go to heaven. Then why would I stay around and see if I'm going to go to hell or heaven? I will just check out early and guarantee heaven. It just makes so much sense. Right. Anyways. So
Yeah.
nobody told us that if you kill yourself, you're going to go to heaven. I just put the premises together and like realized that that's the logical thing to do.
Okay. Yeah, that was all I wanted to ask. Just out of curiosity, because people were telling me, I'm like, oh, so like was Armin ex-Muslim? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, like just curiously. I'll just like
Yeah.
ask Armin.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Who's next?
I keep forgetting my mic. We had Jan or John. What's your name, buddy?
I saw Lindsay raise her hand like this.
It's
Use the
pronounced
thing.
Jan, but thank you.
But
Can I
Lindsay,
say one really quick thing, Jan?
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
as someone that works with children, it's very easy. Like if you tell a child there's Santa Claus, they'll believe it until something else explains it. Like it's just a kid thing that goes through their heads. But Armin, would you expand a little bit on like so from there and this? How did you leave the religion? Like you like.
Okay, but this is not a Santa Claus thing because everybody
No,
believed it.
I
Okay,
know,
it's
but
not just kids.
but
Everybody believes in hell in my society. But no, I was
in
there.
my
Yeah?
society, everyone believes in Santa Claus.
No, I also believe in Santa Claus, but I was with people that everybody believed in hell, including
Yeah,
adults.
fair enough. But how did you
Yeah.
then move? How did you get over this trauma? Like, how did you move on then and leave religion behind?
So I couldn't accept the fact that so many people were going to go to hell. Okay, I couldn't accept that my mom and my dad and so many Christians, because we watch Hollywood movies, we watch soccer, and we watch BBC at home, and we're like, is that guy's going to go to hell because that's a Muslim? Those soccer players are going to go to hell because they're not Muslim. I couldn't understand how God could just send all of these people to hell just because they're not Muslim. So I went to the library and I picked up a book called The History of Religion. But then I studied the history of religion, and by studying the history of religion, I realized immediately that this is all made up. So that's how I became an atheist.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. The
Yeah.
reason why I'm doing it, Lindsay, I hope I answer. The reason why I'm rushing to it, I wish we had more time. I could go into a lot more detail, but maybe another time we talk about it more. All
All
right.
right.
Sorry, Yassi.
So can I speak?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So my question basically is, for the last 47 years, there's been committed a lot of crime on the people of Iran, right? So my
Yep.
question is, who's going to be held accountable? Because let's be real, most of the elites will probably flee Iran to Russia, or I don't know, France or something. They will get their money and flee. And it will probably be really hard to hold them accountable and to get them to trial. So my question is, like, how is this gonna be like? What are you going to do about it? Because when the revolution is done, people are free. You have your state. Everything is going good. You're still going to need like an army to defend yourself, right? And you have Afghan Islamic Republic to your border, Pakistani Islamic Republic on the next side. You're still going to need like generals and military people to have an army, a capable army of defending your people. Like, and what are you going to do about generals and like high people in the military now who are like working under the current regime? Are you like going to put these people on trial, or are there going to be people who will be like, okay, the regime has changed, let's forgive these people, give them their job back, like let's keep the things running? Or how are you going to
All right.
resolve these
Got it.
things?
All right. So we have right now under the Islamic Republic, there's two bodies which have two bodies that are the military, the IRGC and the Artesh. Okay. So we have a lot of generals within the Artesh that have not committed crimes against people, and they don't have blood on their hands. So we're just going to keep those generals, right? Because Prince Reza Pahlavi has insisted that we're not going to repeat what happened in Iraq. The de-Baathification of Iraq was the reason why Iraq became so chaotic and it collapsed, and the reason why we have ISIS rose up in Iraq. So it was really crazy because for some reason, I think removal of Saddam was not a mistake. I think Americans were right to remove Saddam. I think the reason why Iraq became so chaotic was not the removal of Saddam, is because what they did after. So the American military did the job properly. It was the American politicians who just completely removed the Ba'ath Party, and everybody that was a member of it was basically banned from being involved in politics. That created a huge power vacuum. So we don't want to repeat that, because there's going to be a blanket forgiveness for everybody that doesn't have blood on their hand, which is a lot of people in the
Right.
military, including most of the generals of the Artesh. All of them are going to be forgiven, and they're going to be able to maintain their job and continue to serve. Does that answer your question?
Right.
Pardon. Yeah,
Yeah,
blanket
right.
pardon. Yeah,
Perfect.
thank you, John.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah,
Okay.
and also with regards to justice regarding people running away, yeah, that's going to be a problem, and we will deal with that once we get there. I'm hoping that we will be having like Israel had that problem. After the fall of Nazi Germany, there were many Nazis that were involved with killing Jews, and they were all over,
Yeah.
and they
Yes.
hunted them
Yes.
down and found them and eliminated them. So I hope that we could go through the same thing. I hope we get to do the same
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
I hope
Yes.
the
Okay.
way the
Nice.
Jews managed to, yeah.
All right. And now Cat Lady got back. Cat Lady?
Yes, I'm here. One point is that I actually saw a video a couple of days ago of someone trying to kill his father in Mecca because he heard that in Mecca, if you die, you go to heaven. I saw a video of people trying to stop him from suffocating his father. Like, that's crazy. The other thing is, to be honest, maybe I'm missing something, but I don't get the constant questioning and dealing with like what will happen the day after, like the 2 days after, 3 days after. We're not there yet. Like, on the other hand, you can see, okay, it's good to make plans and to be understood and to know what you're going for. But like I said, do we know the color of drapes yet in the government? Like, uh, will it fit the carpet, like BT said?
Yeah.
But
Okay, Kennedy, you're correct. You're correct. However, it's good to have some general understanding so people have something to be fighting for. Okay, because you need to give the Iranian people like a hope, like, oh my God, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. That gives people motivation and inspiration to fight toward, like, yeah, we're going. It's like showing that the process is going to be democratic, secular, and it's going to be the sovereignty of the people gives a lot of people motivation to fight towards something, right? So if you see the
right,
destination,
right.
you're going to
But
have more
I mean
motivation.
more like seeing possible problems. This is not
Right.
useful. Like, and also, what will they do with problems? They will have an army. That's like a
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And it's going to be, a lot of people are saying it's going to be this challenge and that challenge. Yes, we know it's going to be challenging. The first couple of years is going to be very challenging. So we know that. So a lot of
Yeah,
people
even
remind like,
later, life will.
yeah, exactly. We're going to have enemies. We're going to have people who want to cause chaos, and we have to deal with that. We know it's not
But we
easy.
will
Yeah.
remember how Khamenei is no longer here, and we'll be happy.
Exactly. And more than Khamenei, IRGC. I think Khamenei is not as harmful anymore. It's IRGC that is a big problem. But yeah, good point. All right.
I just posted links to Armin talking, like previous videos Armin did of him talking about leaving Islam, if you're interested.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Wow. Very
Okay.
helpful.
I have question, Arman. What was your opinion about Israel and Jews that you was a Muslim?
Oh, about Israel, honest, my answer is boring because when I was a Muslim, I didn't really think about Israel that much. But regarding Jews, I mean, I thought about non Muslims in general. I didn't think about non Muslims specifically. I just thought, how is it fair for non Muslims to go to hell and burn for having the wrong opinion? Okay. So I wasn't about Jews or Christians or atheists or Hindus. It was, for me, it just like, as a Muslim, I couldn't understand how a God could be considered kind, but yet burn people for, like, it's like going to an exam and giving the wrong answer, and the punishment is burning for like thousands of years. Like, what the hell? It seems a bit extreme, like just getting the answer wrong. So I just saw Jews as part of that category of God being unfair against, and I couldn't understand it. Does that make sense?
Yes. You know Jews that you was live in Iran?
Oh yes, yes. Actually, the wife of one of our family members was a Jew. We called him
Mm.
Kalini. It's
Where
interesting. It's interesting because here's the thing. Actually, the only thing I remember is that I found like they managed to do this to us. They managed to make me feel like the flag of Israel is evil. And I don't know how they managed to do that, but for many years, when I looked at the flag of Israel, I thought that I'm looking at like something really demonic and evil. So they had that effect on me.
when was the last time you was in Iran?
Let me see. I think it was 20, more than 20 years ago now. 21 years,
You
22 years ago.
know if the MEK claim to be popular in Iran?
Yeah, they claim to be the most popular group in Iran.
I claim to
You
be
know
blonde sometimes.
you know if exist in Iran ethnicity that most of them separatist?
No, there's no such thing.
Hmm. You can make me how you call it משהו something member not VIP, how you call it
Ah,
how you call it
he
I don't
he wants.
remember.
No,
No,
I think he wants you to make him also like a VIP member for the discussions.
no, I
Oh,
don't,
yeah, is that okay? Yes,
That
I can
one?
do that.
Like,
Thank you. I very like what you do on YouTube. I first see you on, I think it was November 2023 on Aris Sultan. You do a live together.
Oh, amazing. Well, thank you for following us for all these years. I appreciate that. I appreciate your support. And also, I made you a premium member, so hope to see you more here in our other discussions. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier about, when you're talking about the Kurds and secessionist Kurds versus patriotic Kurds, most of the Kurds in Iran are, pro-Iranian. In fact, the Kurds themselves are an Indo-Iranian people, just like the Persians. So, most of them are loyal to the nation. The secessionists are a minority, and most of those are communist. I was going to ask you, Armin, what do the Kurds in Syria believe in? The ones fighting, are the same ones that Trump abandoned several years ago when he pulled troops out of Syria? Are they communist or what?
I don't know much about the general population. I just know about their terrorist groups there, like the cessationists. I know the cessationist groups are like very, like they're terrorists and they're commies. I know that, but I have no view. I don't know what the general population, Kurdish population, is like there. So I'm not very familiar with them.
Okay. Fighting the Turks, fighting Erdogan. A lot of them are communist as well, basically.
Yes,
they're also terrorists.
They're commie terrorists.
Okay.
Vastly speaking, I'm sorry if to maybe let down some Kurds if we have some Kurds, but vastly speaking, Kurds, pretty violent group wherever you find them. I'm sorry to say.
Well, the cessationists, not the rest of them.
Of course, the revolutionists, they want to tear down other civilizations, and it's funny when you talk about Iran, because what kind of land dispute can you have with someone who has been there for 7,000 years? Okay.
You know what's funny? I knew a Kurdish person from Iraq, and I'm like, "What do you think of Arabs?" He's like, "Oh, Arabs, no good." And then he's like, Kurdish only." And I'm like, "The fuck?" I'm like, "Bro, you're crazy." And then he's like, "One time," because he used to be like a fighter or whatever. He's like, "One time I kill these Arabs," and I'm like, "Okay, I don't want to know about that."
Well, they have to stop killing each other before they want to
Yeah.
start killing Arabs, because the Kurds kill more Kurds than they kill any other group. At least separatists in, well, at least the separatists in Iraq.
Yeah, to be fair, Saddam wasn't exactly nice to Iraqi Kurds, and a lot of Arabs don't like Kurds either. So there's a lot of bad blood there. But most of the Kurds in Iran are loyal to Iran.
I think it would be a mistake to conflate all the Kurds together. It's completely different cases.
No, I think
Yes, exactly.
I think that we said it a couple of times that we're not talking to the Kurds as a whole.
We already made this point.
Yeah, of course. My main point was just that the Kurds themselves. It's not like they're a completely related group. They're an Indo-Iranian people themselves, just like the Persians. Right. Yeah. Yep. So
yeah,
they're Iranians. So yeah.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, if you want to talk about changing borders, then we could talk about making all the areas that are considered they call Kurdistan part of Iran, because they're all Aryans, so they belong to Iran. So instead of like seceding, they could just make all of that land Iran if they want.
I want to say one last thing.
We have to move on. No, because we have a big list. So let's go. How many? I need to go soon because Goldie is basically streaming without me. But let's go through the people who
haven't talked
especially
at
the
all.
new people.
Okay, so we have Shauna, Simin, and Rosa Mordechai.
It's Simin, yeah.
So
did you see Shauna first?
Yes. So let's go with Shauna.
And then Simin.
Simin.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I just really want to say thank you so much, Armin, for all of your work with Goldie. I found you through Goldie, and you've been our lifeline here to Iran. So thank you so much. And today, surprisingly, a cousin got out of Iran today to fly back to Finland, and she called us, and everybody's safe so far. But I wanted to share an Instagram video I shared in the chat with you to see if you'd be able to share it live with Goldie. from somebody who came out of the country and just wanted to share her experience. Her flight was canceled a few days back, and she was able to reschedule and get out to Turkey and then to fly to Finland.
Can you repost it? I don't see it.
Yes, I'll repost it.
Okay. Thank you, Simin. Okay, and I'm going to make you a premium member so that when you come back here, you have access to our group calls.